Happy Wednesday to all my motivation movers out there. Welcome aboard to an all new Coco Renee's motivation movement. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So sorry that I have missed you guys for like a week. Yes, child, for a whole week. But I am blessed by the grace of God, okay? Just the glory of God to be able to wake up this morning, and not just wake up this morning, but to wake up in a new territory. God has blessed me with a new home, a bigger space. He's enlarged my territory, you guys. And everything that I have prayed for the last 4 or 5 years, God is starting to really, set it up. And he's starting to deliver on those things. But I know it's been a process to get here. He had to get me situated. He had to get my mind mentally right. He had to get my spirit intact and also in right and in check, so to speak, in order for me to get to this point. So as I kept God involved, he began to help me to evolve, okay? And that's what I want to talk about today is, when we have God involved in things, we'll start seeing ourselves evolve. But there's also a format that goes with this. There's a certain structure that goes with this level up business, okay? And when you get to a certain level and a certain point in your walk, you will start noticing that you look at things differently, you start to operate and move differently, just things start to really change. So before I get too far into this conversation, because there are some things I want to talk to you guys about, let's go ahead and do our regular little shout out. Make sure you guys are checking me out on YouTube as well as here on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, as well as follow and share and like on both media platforms at Official Coco Renee. I'm sorry if I'm like a little bit off. I'm still getting acclimated to my new, territory, but not only that, it's been a lot going on from this past weekend, as well as just this week in general. My spirit is really, it has been down, and I was so excited over the weekend because I moved into my new place this past Sunday. But I've been prepping for moving, had to, load up everything and just get really situated. So my other home was completely, just turned all over and turned upside down. So I couldn't really record and be comfortable to record, and just really mentally just trying to get ready for this move. It is hard to sit down and do a motivation movement and trying to stay motivated when you're like exhausted and tired. You know what I mean? So I wanted to start fresh this week, and then Sunday came, and then I heard about artists that I really love. And because I'm in this industry, with music and entertainment, I have met a lot of amazing people in this industry, and I know a lot of people who work with these amazing artists as well. So as a radio personality and as a future filmmaker, and just all these different abundance of amazing talents and gifts that God has given me, I have been in fortunate positions to be able to see these entertainers live, be able to be in the presence of their ambience and see them do their thing. So this particular artist, for those who are, listen to hip hop and listen to, certain type of music, they will know exactly who I'm talking about. I will just say it by his government name, as they say. His name was Ermias. He's only 33 years old. His life was taken at such a short, young age over this past weekend on Sunday, the day that I was actually moving into my home. I was just waiting for the moving truck to come. I was so excited. And then a friend of mine that I haven't seen in 7 years, okay, 7 years, had happened to be out here in the area where I moved to. And when she stopped by, she said, "Hey, did you hear about, this person?" And I said, "No, what happened?" And she said, he was killed over the weekend and he didn't make it. And I was just like, no way. What? Hold on a second. Where was I at? So when I got that news, it just took everything away from my moment of being happy. Because as I started getting more information and hearing more about it, I knew this is a big deal. Because he became a pillar of his community. Originally, from South Central LA, and me being a California girl, and just from that neck of the woods, and my husband's from South Central, and so a lot of ties. I know a lot of people that actually personally knew him. I actually have a really good friend who's like a brother to us, who works for him. and had to witness and see it happen. So even being in his presence and talking to him about it and just trying to keep his spirit uplifted, because that's hard to see your childhood friend who's also known to the world as a, you know, famous person and who has a celebrity status, to see him in that position of losing his life and being vulnerable. And at that moment, just as human beings, all that celebrity and all that crap goes out the window, because this is now your friend that you have grown up with and that you also work for and that you have had ties with for years, you know, lose their life over something senseless. What this gentleman was trying to do in his community really has not been done by a person in his position on this level. There's artists that do many, many things for their communities. They give back all the time. But what this gentleman was trying to do was on a completely different level from anything I've seen in the last 20, 30 years, okay, in this hip hop industry. He was setting the tone that was letting the young generation know it is more to things than bling and guns and all this crap that you hear being rapped about, that these young kids are idolizing from these other artists. He was trying to change it and show something different. And see, he wasn't just talking about it, he was being about it. He went into his community, he bought out a plaza, he opened up doors and opportunities for people to have jobs. He gave jobs to people that probably wouldn't be able to get a regular job because maybe they had a record, or maybe they didn't have the job experience or the level or skill set, and he made sure that he helped them to get there and gave them opportunities to have that. Not only that, he was giving back to his community in so many ways. He was also doing things for the kids. You know, he wanted to make sure these kids had an amazing education. He knew that there's things in the system that lacks in the inner city areas in the school system. So he was creating something where the kids could be able to go to after school and continue to gain more knowledge and gain more skills, so that when they get out there in the real world, they would actually be ready and not just have to settle for what the school system there is teaching them and that is willing to provide them. He was going above and beyond to make sure that these kids had something more than what was being given to them. He wanted to make sure that they understood, hey, I'm a boy from the hood too. I didn't live a great life coming up because I had to fend for myself and do what I had to do to take care of my family. But God blessed me to take all these different, you know, these different things that I learned and to elevate and turn it into something that is going to be the future for you guys. And he was really trying to do amazing things. And he was actually going to meet with the police chief of LA on Monday, April 1st, to talk about the crime and what can be done and just team up. And then the day before he was going to do that, he passed away. And I have a lot of different views on things, but at the end of the day, me being the woman of God that I am, I will just leave it here and not get into the politics of things, especially the way that this world is. God overall has the final say. God is the one that is, you know, knows our date of birth, and he knows our expiration date. He is the only one that has the ability and the power to help us to flourish while we're here on this earth. And when he feels that our job is done, then he calls us home. And so what I've learned from this situation on a spiritual level, okay, this gentleman had planted the seed. He planted the seed. He started something that needed to be started in his neighborhood. Not only did it just start in his neighborhood, it started to grow into other areas where people started knowing who he was outside of the United States. He started to gain a celebrity in different countries. People started to know who he was. You know, if he went somewhere to a different country, they knew who he was. He didn't realize how big he had became until he went into a completely different country and people knew his music and people knew who he was. That's when you know that you have made it to an elevated level. He took what he had gained and incorporated into his community. He didn't leave his community and say, okay, forget you guys, I'm gonna leave you here and I'm gonna go off to a richer community and I'm gonna take all of these different things and set it up somewhere else. And if you want it, you gotta come over here to get it. He knew that the people within his community do not have these resources. There was not going to be a opportunity for some of them to be able to get those resources. So he planted it right in the hood where they would have access to these resources. That is important for us to understand that God put Ermias Asghedom here for a purpose. He was a vessel. He did not live a great, amazing life, but you know what? Sometimes we have to walk that walk to gain a certain audience of people who are living in a not so godly lifestyle, for them to understand that, wow, if I could see him turn around, what do we talk about? Illuminating, right? If I could see him turn around and he's illuminating in a way where I see God all over him, look at how much he's changed, look how he just leveled up. That's all he was really showing was, if I can do it and I'm just like you, I came from the same exact environment. I had the same cars. Look what I did with my deck. And once his job was done, God called him home. We don't have control over how God chose to call him home. We have no control over the time frame, 33 years old, you know, that God said, hey, it's time. You know, your time is up. You've done what I needed you to be here to do. Only God knows. That's all predestined, and that's beyond us. But this is why it's important while we are here on this earth, while we are here, and I'm trying not to get emotional, but this is why it is so important while we are here for us to live the best life that we can possibly live. This is why it's important, because the tone that we set leaves a legacy behind. And I've said this many times to all of my movers. While you are here on this earth, you have to make sure that you set a tone and you put out a message that allows people to see you illuminate in a positive way. This is so important, because he could have left this earth and people could have cared less because he lived a unrighteous life. He did everything he could to show people it's all about your energy. It's all about what you put out for you to get back. And he was understanding that he didn't have no fear of death or anything else, because he knew his purpose of what he was here to do. There's certain people that walk this earth that knows their purpose, and they know that they might not have a long time to be on this earth for the rest of their life. But while they're here, they're gonna make sure that they are planting seeds so that God can do the rest and allow those seeds to water and to grow and to flourish and to become something that is amazing. And that's all he wanted for his community. If we don't take anything else from this situation, let's take that. Let's take that. Plant those seeds. Make sure that they're positive seeds that you're planting, so when they grow, they can grow and produce and multiply. And that's all he wanted to do for his community. Why someone chose to take his life, we will never ever know. But if that's the way that God chose to call him home, we have no control. However, we know that God picks and chooses his finest, best soldiers to deliver his messages. And Ermias Asghedom definitely left a legacy behind that will be remembered forever and ever, and that will continue to grow in the community, because what he did, people are never going to forget that. And that's what we take from this. All right, y'all, I gotta go. I love y'all. I will be back tomorrow with the daily affirmation. We'll be back on target. We'll start fresh next week, you know, with our Motivation Movement Monday. But until next time, movers, I love y'all. I hope you have a blessed rest of the week. I'll talk to y'all soon. Toodles.